In the build-up to COP27 slated to hold in Egypt in November this year, climate justice activists are calling on African governments to focus more on improving homegrown climate solutions instead of investing heavily on fossil fuel. They made the call in Lagos during a roundtable on climate change. Climate justice activists have called on African governments to focus more on implementing a workable and homegrown climate solution on mitigation and adaptation rather than investing heavily on fossil fuels in the build-up to COP27 slated for Egypt this year. The activists who made the call in Lagos during a roundtable discussion on climate change expressed worry that some negotiations and agreements reached at COP26 in Glasgow, Scotland, are yet to be implemented.
The Paris Agreement, which is the foundation of the climate change discussions, which are set goals for each country, collaboration or individual, has not, the mark has not been met. So the climate crisis has continued to escalate. Africa is at the heart of it, but each country has a role to play. Nigeria, for instance, has its nationally determined contributions, just like every other country. But you and I know that there's not much concretely that is on ground to show that we are even doing anything in that respect. Instead, our vice president is supporting some false initiatives, net zero and the rest of them. So this is just to discuss what is happening and then give us some ideas to think of and possible stories to look at. So
there's a crisis globally. And then to every glaring eye, we know who is largely responsible for the crisis. It's the global north. Even the corporations, all of these, we call them the oppressors now. They are the corporate oppressors and exploiters. They are mostly based in the global north. They are from the global north. So when you look here, you see their subsidiaries, you see they are spreading and having, roots and tentacles everywhere, but their roots are actually in the north. But then who bears the brunt, who suffers, is the south. So you look at Africa, for instance, look at the unprecedented impact of global change that we are seeing. Soot in rivers, in Bayelsa, you can only imagine what we breathe in. As you on your way here, you never can tell what you must have consumed just by being a human being walking on the streets of Nigeria.
They are also asking African governments to question and reject net zero emissions pledged by polluting companies if the fight against climate change in Africa must be won.
Net zero, for instance, says you can continue to pollute, E can be responsible for your pollution. I mean, E can absorb what you produce in form of emission, and then there will be a balance. Why E pays you for the emission that you produce? Because he underproduces. So it will be able to cover up for your own excessive emission. That is net zero. It seems like a scam. And that is why there is no consistency in the actualization. People say 50-50, 2060, 2070. Now, going by your question, because of the position that we are in Africa, we seem to grab whatever, this global north throws at us. Part of the condition given is that African countries must embrace net zero. And that is why you see them advancing it very clearly in their indices. Now the discussion ongoing in Bonn presently is that, yes, net zero still must be achieved by African countries, but you have to choose between net zero captured in loss and damages finances or global goal on adaptation. And then the worrying thing is that the same government that sits on the decision of loss and damage finance that includes commitment to net zero also shares, the commitment on the global goal on adaptation. So now Africa seems to be in a dilemma. And because of lack of foresight of our leaders, and I have to even say here very clearly that the delegate African countries sent to conversations like this are just there to do business. They look for people that can support whatever they are advancing, and then they strike deal, and then they return back home. So we are now in a situation where we don't actually know what our African leaders are projecting. But we have the solution, like you rightly said. We believe very strongly that for a continent that contributes insignificantly to global emission, about even less than 4%, we should be able to advance homegrown indigenous renewable energy and cut down emission at source.
The annual UN conference in Bonn kicked off on the 6th of June 2022 with the aim of setting the stage for success at COP27 slated for November in Egypt.